Last year, the number of people killed on Britain's roads went up for the first time in years.
1,900 people died on them.
That's more than 4 jumbo jets full of people.
Or 23 packed double-decker buses.
Or 172 football teams.
And over 23,000 were seriously injured.
That's enough seriously injured people to fill the Oval Cricket Ground.
The total injured last year alone is more than the entire population of Luton.
Is this number of casualties acceptable?
And what can be done to reduce it?
We're driving across the country.
Driving on motorways,
A roads,
city streets
and rural highways.
To meet safety experts,
road designers,
traffic police,
and the survivors of collisions.
And they all agree
that we take the biggest risk of our lives
every time we get behind the wheel of our cars.
I was thinking we're going to go under the Iceland truck and that's it, we're gone.
So why do we have so many accidents? And how can we avoid them?
We would close the railway network if we had the number of deaths that just occur on this road in 5 years.
We'll be showing the simple changes that could transform the safety of our streets.
If this was traffic signals, I don't think I would be here.
And the innovations that some experts say could mean soon no one will die on Britain's roads.
Oh, that's horrible.
My name's Justin Rowlatt. I've got 4 children, so I've got a trusty 7-year-old people carrier that's seen better days.
I'm Anita Rani, and this is my type of car, a small and nippy runaround.
I absolutely love driving. I was one of those people who couldn't wait to pass my test. For me, driving meant independence.
My wife would probably say that I'm not a very good driver. We were in a stream of traffic and I just accidentally went into the back of the car in front, not going at a massive speed, but the airbags went off and I had the baby in the back. Anita, how are you doing?
Mine's got this black box. I'm not happy about it. It's somewhere in there. You can't see it. I have no idea where it is.
First off, is the answer a spy in the car? New surveillance technology that monitors a driver's every move.
Hidden behind the glove compartment of my car is a state-of-the-art telematics box. It logs any mistake I make, a sharp turn, speeding, anything, and it records the lot online. Insurance companies love it because it helps judge how dangerous we really are.
Take a look at what I've got.
What have
Take a
you
look
got?
at what I've got.
It can't be
Go
worse
in
than
there,
mine.
go and have a look. Yeah, I think it might be, because this one does everything that yours does, except it's all on camera.
My device is called DriveCam. It has one camera pointing at the road and another at me. It's filming the whole time, but if I do something wrong, it sends film of the event to a web page, so you can see incidents unfold.
I don't think I'm the best driver in the world. Maybe they'll catch me doing something a bit embarrassing, you know? But then I'll see it, and hopefully I'll learn from the experience, you know, and I'll be a better driver as a result.
The latest government figures show road deaths are rising for the first time in years. But why?
I'm going to be seeing for myself the consequences of crashes and learning some simple tricks that could help you avoid them.
I want to know what are the most common causes of collisions. I'll be finding out when, where, and crucially, how they happen. We're going to look at the 3 major types of road in this country: motorways, A roads, and urban streets. We want to understand how roads and cars can be made safer and reduce deaths.
Let's start with the motorways. There are 2,218 miles of motorway in Britain, and we use them a lot. We do 170 million miles a day on them. They're the lifeline of our economy, but they are also the scene of our biggest crashes.
I'm out on patrol with the Essex Traffic Police in one of their unmarked vehicles.
What causes the most accidents on motorways?
People driving too close, not paying enough attention, someone brakes far ahead, especially in a queue of traffic, and someone fails to react in time, and you get the concertina effect, bang, bang, bang. Now you look at this lorry. Look how close this lorry is to that BMW. It's just
That was
He's indicated and manoeuvred. He gave me no choice. I was going to have to slow. You can see the beauty of trucks. He's got that great big mirror. See him?
He's not having a good day, is he? He got off lightly. But as we just saw, when vehicles change lanes, they'll often move into tighter gaps, which then cuts safe braking distances. Travelling down the A12 trunk road to rejoin the M25, we soon spot another tailgater.
Just see up ahead, there's a car braking.
Yeah.
And he came past at quite a bit of speed past us. You'll see how close he gets to the van in front.
Is it too close?
I would say he's a car and a half lengths behind, which is too close. I think, now, there we go. There's what we do not want to see. He went for the undertake as the vehicle's joining from the slip road. Yeah, Danny, we're going to be pulling one at the lay-by black VW.
He's not happy.
Really concerned about his happiness. You overtook me and two other cars and slid across, caused the car behind to brake. You got behind that white van and you were constantly braking, yeah? Okay. And then, what nearly happened to you that could have put... You nearly crashed into someone. Yeah. Were you aware there was a slip road on the left-hand side?
I'll take your point. I'm sorry.
Yeah. There we go. Take care, bye-bye.
The relief on his face when he realised he weren't going to give him a ticket.
Lucky he didn't have a big old dent in the side of his car.
He is lucky.
I'm also out with the police, but in South Yorkshire. With more than 100 accidents on our motorways every week, I want to see for myself how the emergency services respond to traffic incidents.
So we've just had a call saying there's been a road traffic accident somewhere up the motorway from here. We're on the M18. Apparently a vehicle has turned over. It's obviously blocking at least one of the carriageways because we've got a massive tailback.
This is what happened. The trailer started to swing out of control. It jackknifed and it and the Land Rover that was towing it rolled over. I can see how vital the hard shoulder is to the emergency services.
This is the first time I've been down on a motorway just after an accident has happened, and we're very lucky. In this accident, no one was hurt.
It shows why it's so important to keep your distance from the car in front. If a car or lorry had been close behind this trailer, the driver would probably not be talking to me now.
3 tons. 3 tons. There's a lot of momentum.
Yeah.
3 tons of trailer turned over in the middle of the carriageway. The Land Rover turned over behind there, and the miracle is that nobody hit it, because had another car come in and hit it, and goodness knows, we'd probably be talking about fatalities here. And I mean, it's pretty incredible. This accident happened about, what, 25 minutes ago? And already, you know, you'd hardly know it happened. The first traffic started moving again on the motorway. They reckon they'll have it open again in 5 minutes, all cleared up.
Last year, 106 people were killed and 740 seriously injured on our motorways. The worst accidents, the ones that hit the headlines, are the pile-ups. Travelling at speed, when a car develops a problem and suddenly swerves, stops, or slows down, vehicles behind can't react in time and they crash. With heavy traffic, more cars are forced into braking and skidding across lanes. That sparks knock-on accidents further down the motorway. These pile-ups are more likely in poor visibility. Snow, ice, rain and fog, they impair your view, give you less traction on the road and can ultimately be lethal.
A number of people have died and dozens have been injured in a multiple crash on the M5 in Somerset.
One of the worst pile-ups in British history happened on the M5 last year. 7 people died, 51 were injured. The exact causes of the crash are still unclear, but there was fog on that stretch of the road and it's alleged smoke drifting from a firework display made visibility even worse. The organiser of the display now faces 7 charges of manslaughter. Roger and Kira Nino were right in the centre of the devastation, but miraculously they escaped unhurt.
What happened that night?
We joined the slip road and within seconds moved into the middle lane behind, was it the Iceland truck, wasn't it? and it just disappeared into a tunnel of fog.
She's gone.
Yeah. It was just fog thicker than I've ever seen in my life. It was like somebody threw a blanket over this thing. All the lights, the brake lights came on the lorry. We braked very, very sharply and managed to stop with, I reckon, about 10 feet to spare behind the lorry. Instantly, there were bangs and crashes from all around and behind us.
So you knew that car after car was crashing?
Yeah.
I thought we were going to get hit straight away. And I was thinking we're going to go under the Iceland truck and that's it, we're gone.
You were waiting to be hit?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. And then a lorry jackknife behind us.
It protected us, didn't it?
Yeah. Immediately behind us was a ring of mangled cars that had all been swept up by the jackknifed lorry. And there was another woman trapped under the back wheel of her car, pinned by the legs, which was, the car in turn was pinned by a lorry, which haunted me for months.
We're just very, very, very lucky. One or both of us could have died that night, but we didn't.
One question the crash raises is whether the road itself could have been safer. After all, fog has contributed to lots of other accidents.
The investigation started after last December's multiple pileup on the M25. 9 people died when cars travelling in thick fog collided. The Department of Transport are now planning to install a new type of early warning system.
Automatic fog warning systems which detect low visibility have been around for decades, but are still not installed on many fog-prone stretches of motorways. On the M5, the warnings have to be manually activated. They weren't that night. Road safety experts say warning systems have not been improved because of cuts.
If automated weather warning cameras had been in place in areas such as the M5 crash, then we may not have seen the loss of life that we'd seen on that evening. It would have warned drivers ahead of time that there was a hazard ahead, so that they were able better to cope with what was happening in front of them. The drive down of the roads budget has had a lot to do with it, so we're not only seeing drops in what can be done on the network, but also in expertise, so learning from others and gaining that real-world experience that tells us what works, so the right measures in the right places.
The Highways Agency say this isn't about cost savings, but about spending money where it has the greatest benefit. They say fog detection and warning systems are sited in locations that experience these conditions on a regular basis.
Automation isn't the only way to improve warning systems and cut casualties. The M42 and M6 are the first of a new type of road, the managed motorway. With overhead gantries every 500 metres, traffic can be monitored and controlled using cameras and signs in an unprecedented way.
Obviously the right place.
I'm visiting the M42 control centre to see how it works.
Okay, so we've got a car that's broken down in the middle lane.
That's right. So I'm setting the signal now. So I'll also
tell them that there's a car broken down?
Yeah, that's right. So I'll set stranded vehicle. Stranded vehicle. And as you can see now, we've got the message sign saying stranded vehicle. And I'm closing these 2 lanes.
Those 2 X's telling us that these 2 lanes are closed.
Yeah, that's
There's
right.
the police car.
There's the police vehicle.
So the policeman has pushed the car out of the way. So what are you going to do?
So now what I'll do is I'll take off these red X's on here.
And there you go. So these 2 have opened up again. 40,
That's
40,
it.
40, and the hard shoulder. You cannot drive down
That's
it.
right, exactly.
It's as quick as that. That's how fast you can react to something.
That's right.
Managed motorways were first designed to tackle congestion. They allow the Highways Agency to quickly open up the hard shoulder as a temporary extra lane, which is cheaper than building a new one. And by controlling speed and traffic flow, they've also noticed some very good side effects.
We're seeing incidents, but they're much less severe. So we're getting maybe slightly more rear-end shunts, but we're not getting the major, catastrophic incidents that can end up in fatalities. We've had no fatalities out there on the managed motorway since we brought these in, which is really great.
But with the nation's coffers empty, a very different type of managed motorway is proposed for the M1 near Rotherham. The plan is to open the hard shoulder permanently as an extra lane between junctions 31 and 35. Chief Superintendent Keith Lumley of South Yorkshire Police has grave reservations.
In my view, they're not a managed motorway at all. They are a significant reduction on what we've seen previously, very successful schemes on the M42, for example. But this is a much reduced scheme, both in terms of engineering and indeed in terms of budget.
With fewer gantries, it will be harder to control speed. With no hard shoulder, broken down cars would either have to use one of the safe refuges every 2.5 kilometres or simply sit and wait in live lanes of traffic. Stationary vehicles on the motorway are already a real hazard, even with a hard shoulder.
What we've got to bear in mind is that there's approximately 2,500 breakdowns on the M1 on this stretch that are dealt with by the rescue services. What we're seeing here is a lorry driver, and he's seemingly weaving from side to side for some reason. Can't quite understand why, but he's gone over the white line now onto the hard shoulder. Whoa! And as they're struck, one of the emergency response vehicles, debris scattered, and the motorway there was closed for several hours.
How worried are you at the plans that have been proposed?
I was so worried that I spoke directly to the Highways Agency to get them to reconsider the design and layout, and we are currently working with them to modify it, to put in acceptable improvements in the engineering, recognising the need to reduce costs, but also not at the expense of fatal collisions and loss of life.
The Highways Agency say they're confident they can provide the additional capacity without compromising safety. They're now working with the South Yorkshire Safer Roads Partnership to agree on the exact design and operation of the scheme. So for the moment, monitoring us and controlling our speed is helping reduce deaths on the motorways.
Now, the government is thinking about raising the speed limit to 80 miles an hour. But what impact would that have?
The speed limit up to 80, I think, is a good idea.
At 70, we all cruise at 75 anyway. If you take it to 80, we'll all cruise at 85.
Cars are a lot more powerful than they used to be, and they're a lot safer than they used to be, so they can stop in a lot shorter distances.
At that speed, the risk of accidents, I think, would probably go up.
Nearly half of all drivers break the speed limit on motorways. The government say raising it could bring big economic gains through shorter journey times. So is the speed limit out of date? When the first motorway was built in 1959, there were few cars and even fewer safety features. Most cars didn't have seatbelts, and people were still adjusting to the new rules of the road.
If you overshoot the turning point, don't try to do this. Reversing and turning on the motorway is an offence which could cost you £20 in a magistrate's court.
In 1965, after a spate of serious accidents, a speed limit was imposed on motorways of 70 miles per hour.
I'm taking an Austin 1100, the most popular car of the day, for a spin to see what the speed limit must have meant to drivers in 1965.
The idea of travelling at 70 in this thing, particularly today when it's a bit wet out, is, and I really mean this, is genuinely frightening. You know, we're down to 60, but let's take her up to 70. It's going to take a while. This is the kind of car that was around. It's so different from modern cars, and if I'm honest, so much worse. You do kind of wonder whether 70-mile-an-hour speed limit is really relevant anymore.
My people carrier certainly feels as if it could comfortably do more than 70 miles an hour and stop a lot more quickly. But there's 3 times more traffic than in 1966, so stopping distances are more important than ever. My car is 7 years old, the same as the average car on Britain's roads. I want to know what the increase to 80 would mean in an emergency. I've come to a test track. Matthew Avery and Colin Grover are experts in car safety.
This was one of the first cars with this latest technology of this electronic brake force distribution and emergency brake assist. So this actually is quite a good car.
What do you mean, actually?
Well, I think it's not been maintained as well as it could have been maintained. You've got to realise that there can be technology on the car, but the only connection between you and the road is the tyre. And I have to say, your tyres are not the best.
I mean, there is actually no tread there.
No, it's verging on the illegal. When did you last check your tyre pressure?
I was trying to avoid that. I haven't actually checked them for a while.
Ever?
Do you know, not ever.
Do you know what can you tell me what the tyre pressure should be on this vehicle?
Yeah, I'm sure I could, yeah. It's 32 all round, I think.
So that's a 225, that's a 17.
Oh, I didn't know.
And your handbook says 36.
36. I wonder because I...
Not 32.
Yeah, I did think it looked a bit soft when I put it in.
Yeah. Joking aside, this is a sobering revelation, as badly maintained tyres contributed to the death of 28 people last year.
30.8. 27.7.
So I think what we should do is show you the difference between a vehicle with the latest generation braking technology, and you'll see the difference there that the technology's making, but also decent tyres.
So how does my poorly maintained car compare to a car with state-of-the-art technology and new tyres when driving at high speeds? Colin and I have got to get our cars up to 70 miles an hour and emergency brake at the same time to test both cars' stopping distances.
67, 69, 70. There we go. Oh. Smells a bit of rubber.
Where are we there? I
That's
think that's
quite
maybe,
a difference.
If I'm stopped on this one, you're maybe 1, 2, 2.5, 3 cones further up. So that makes
this is
us
each one
what?
of these is 5 metres?
5 metres, yep. So I'd say you're probably 15 metres further on there.
If my average car with its bad tyres needs a third more distance to stop than the new one at 70, what happens at 80?
So actually, if I hit something there, that's still a
That would be
really
a big
serious
crash.
accident. I've
Yeah.
slowed down a lot, but I haven't slowed down
You've
enough
still got a lot of energy
to
left
be
in the
safe.
car.
Yeah.
Yep.
In fact, at 80, I'd still be going 40 miles an hour at the place I stopped at 70. On a busy motorway, this could make the difference between stopping in time and having a fatal collision. I had my tyres sorted shortly afterwards.
What do you think about this debate about speed limit? Should Britain raise the speed limit on motorways from 70 to 80?
All the studies that we've done and all the studies around the world say that when you raise the speed limit, you raise the killed and seriously injured. So we've calculated that you're likely to see about a 10% increase in killed and seriously injured.
So it really is as simple as this. You increase the speed limit, more people are going to die.
You increase the speed limit on any road and more people will be killed and seriously injured. Fact.
We've had the latest technology installed in our cars, which monitors our driving. Justin's device films him constantly and uploads any erratic driving to a web page so that it can be evaluated. This will be the first time that we get to see the footage.
The moment of truth, Justin.
Oh no! Because it's all recorded.
His DriveCam footage is going to be assessed by ex-police driving instructor Chris Gilbert.
So Chris,
Pleased to meet you.
You're an advanced driving instructor, aren't you? And he taught Princes Wills and Harry how to drive. So you know a thing or two about driving.
Yes, I'm very privileged, really, and I've had a lot of training in my career.
View events for Justin BBC.
Let's
oh
go.
My God. Apparently the event trigger was cornering. Let's have a look at this, Chris. Can you see that?
Oh!
It's quite a quick corner, isn't
Yes,
it?
indeed.
Is that just too fast?
Far too fast.
Far?
How fast should you have been going around that corner?
You've got to be able to stop in the distance you can see to be clear. So that turn, probably, I would suggest, anywhere between 5 and 10 miles an hour.
Oh my
You
God.
took it at 27.
Yeah, it's far
27
too
miles an
fast.
hour.
Far too fast.
Yeah, this is quite unforgiving, this DriveCam thing. What do you think of it?
I think it's excellent. This is the first time I've seen this, and I really do think there's a great deal of value in this for anyone looking back at their errors. If this is highlighted to them and they have an opportunity to look at this, I think the learning curve is quite steep. You don't know what there is waiting around that corner. Now, at this point, you've got your hands wrapped across the steering wheel.
This is bad
Well,
driving.
that's the point I want to make, because everybody does this. But the airbag opens at over 200 miles an hour, and it opens with a pressure of 1,000 pounds per square inch. Now, if you've got your arms like that, your arms are going to hit your face. at 200 miles an hour.
So it's not actually even just the lack of control that represents.
People every day drive and they repeat their bad habits. The fact they don't pay the price for the poor mistake or the mistakes they've been making throughout their journey means they do it the following day.
But you only need to
They sort of feel as if they feel as if they're a perfectly good driver.
Exactly.
They haven't had any accidents.
Exactly.
Why should they worry? And you think that's what's happening to me?
Yeah, it is.
The company whose cameras these are have accumulated a unique archive of near misses and non-fatal accidents in the United States. This footage could help analyse how accidents happen.
Watching these clips has made me want to take advantage of Chris's expertise. I'm going to have some lessons to help address my bad driving habits.
Hi Chris, how you doing?
Hello Justin.
Driving especially carefully as I can turn around
Well
to
done.
pick you up.
Well done.
Didn't want to get told off immediately.
But try to avoid resting your right elbow on the door.
Really?
Yes.
And both hands on the wheel?
Both hands on the wheel. Looking well ahead, yeah, exactly. And looking down to the foreground and lifting back up again.
He's teaching me to look further ahead, so I have more time to react to what's happening around me.
So how much difference to the sort of risk of having an accident is this kind of forward thinking, this kind of looking ahead?
My opinion is you would increase your driving safety by 90%.
Britain's road safety record has improved vastly in recent decades, and we now have some of the safest roads in the world. But there are areas of our road network that have seen significant increases in the numbers killed and seriously injured in the last year. I've just come off the motorway and I'm driving on an A road. My chances of getting into a collision have just gone up by 5 times. Only about 1/10 of our road network is made up of A roads, and yet half of all fatalities happened on them last year, up by 8%. More than 1,000 people died on them and nearly 10,000 seriously injured.
We're going to drive on some of the riskiest roads of all, the rural single carriageways. Of the 10 most dangerous roads in Britain, 7 are clustered in one area, Derbyshire and Cheshire. Chris has agreed to show me how one of these roads should be driven.
Nice motor, Chris. I like it. So, Chris, this is, I reckon, to be one of the most dangerous roads in Britain. Up there. Second, possibly now, the most dangerous road in Britain. So, tell me what I should be looking at.
The problem on a road like this for people is they don't use their speed sensibly. So the more vision we get, we may be able to increase the speed up towards the speed limit.
Whoa! Gives you an idea of the hazards, doesn't
indeed.
it? Wow, there's some serious bends here.
As the road lengthens, then you can make a little progress if you feel it's safe. As the road gets shorter, which is what it does as we approach something, that's when we've got to consider easing back off the throttle.
So it's all about how far you can see.
Yes, it's about reading the road.
Casualties on A roads happen mainly in 3 ways. Crashes turning in and out of junctions, head-on collisions whilst overtaking, and coming off at bends and hitting objects such as trees. And bend accidents are particularly common on this road due to its popularity with a certain type of road user. On this road, the A5012, 78% of those killed and seriously injured are motorcyclists. 4 of the 10 most dangerous roads form part of a network of routes popular with bikers. The town of Matlock Bath is where they get together.
Biking's about adrenaline, it's about freedom, and it's about the naughty side of it.
0 to 60 in less than 2 seconds.
Less than 2 seconds?
Oh, yeah.
So that is way faster than, I don't know, a Porsche or a Lamborghini.
Oh, yeah, in a dust.
It's just the open roads and just being able to control the bikes and just throw them around corners and, you know, just the adrenaline, really.
We've got the ambulance going past, but the truth is that 78% of the deaths and serious injuries on this road are motorcyclists. So, I mean, what's that about?
Probably most people think they can ride fast and just push their luck a little bit too much sometimes.
The government is considering dropping the speed limit to 40 on many stretches of rural A roads. So what do the Matlock bikers think of that?
I don't think it's the people who are riding at 60 mile an hour that's causing the accidents. It's the people who's riding at double that
on the same road and treating it like a racetrack. They're the people who are ruining it for us.
We'd be in first gear, just constantly in first gear.
And you probably wouldn't have any accidents.
Well, what we should do then is probably get rid of all bikes, and then we'll all drive around in cars
and also
with trackers. So we all, do you know what I mean?
I don't know whether you can say
It's a kind of freedom thing here.
Totally. Biking is about freedom. That's all it's about. That's the one word that biking is about, is freedom.
2/3 of motorcycle deaths happen on rural roads. Running off on bends is the most common type of accident. But for cars, overtaking on A roads can be more dangerous.
At just 17, Josie Pearson, a keen show jumper, survived a head-on collision on a rural stretch of the A4042 between Abergavenny and Pontypool. That was 2003. Better known these days as a Paralympic gold medalist, the accident has defined Josie's life ever since.
Have you got it in there? Can I see it?
Yeah, of course you can.
Can I touch it?
Yeah, of course you can.
That. That's so heavy. Oh, God, it's gorgeous.
Josie and 4 friends were on a day out when her boyfriend tried to overtake another car on a bend. They ended up in a head-on collision that killed him instantly and left Josie paralysed from the chest down.
So tell me what injuries you actually sustained.
I don't really have any movement or feeling from my top of my chest downwards. So I don't have any use of my legs. I don't have any feeling in my trunk or my legs.
What was the impact on your family?
Just sort of devastating for the whole family, really. I guess it's not just life-changing for me, but it's life-changing for them as well.
When society thinks about crashes, do you think we're too fixated on the fatalities, the people that die, rather than the people that survive?
People should know what happens to the people that get injured and how severe their injuries can be and how they have to deal with them from a day-to-day basis. And I'm a lucky one, you know, I can live independently, but unfortunately there are people out there that can't and, you know, rely on constant care.
Do you think roads, A roads in particular, need to be made safer?
I live in the countryside and, you know, most unnamed roads are a 60-mile-an-hour zone, which I feel it should be much lower than that. There should be much stricter limits.
Aside from speed limits, is there anything which could be done to these roads to make them less dangerous? I'm riding with the European Roads Assessment Programme, EuroRAP, and this is the Rapmobile. Vehicles like this scan roads in Britain, giving each one a safety rating and suggesting improvements.
Right.
With me is John Dawson, EuroRAP chairman. We're looking at the A530, ranked as the 6th most dangerous road in Britain. On just one 8-mile stretch of this road, 46 people have been killed or seriously injured in the last 10 years. Well, using this vehicle, what can you tell about a road?
As I drive along, almost every single risk factor that you could imagine is popping up on this 8-mile section of road. Nearly half of the crashes on this road are at junctions. We're just passing through a junction now where there's no safe turning bay. A vehicle has to stand in the centre of the road and just hope that no one comes from behind and wipe them out.
Creating safe turning bays can be as simple as painting lines on the road, and it's one of the most cost-effective crash prevention methods.
Look at that lamp post and telegraph pole close to the roadside. They hit one of those at any speed and you're dead. This is pretty much a crisis stretch of road.
What do you mean a crisis stretch of road?
Well, we would close the railway network if we had the number of deaths and serious injuries that just occur on this road in 5 years.
The A530 cuts through the village of Aston, where the residents live on a high-risk junction.
Whoa, look at the traffic here. Now this is one of the accident black spots on the road. It's a key junction. And what's interesting here isn't just the cars rushing up and down here. It's if you look at the road markings, they've been ground away by the traffic. On the other side of the road, there are signs that have been knocked over, just resting up against the hedges and the fences.
So what's it like to live on one of the most dangerous roads in Britain?
Yeah, when I'm taking my kids to school in the morning, turning right
I'm just waiting for someone to either be overtaking a truck or coming round the corner and for someone to play on the side of the car.
Can I just say that I had an accident turning right. At the time when I pulled out, there was nothing. But by the time I'd got across the road, he'd bumped into me. The cars just come in through the fence because they can't control themselves.
What, come off the road into your garden?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
How often does that happen?
Last one was about, what, 3 weeks ago?
Yeah.
These poorly designed and maintained junctions are all over the country and can be a source of misery for the people who live near them. In the village of Rivenhall in Essex, at the junction with the busy A12, I've chanced upon a man rebuilding a wall.
What's happened here?
A car knocked it over.
Look at that!
I know. Luckily, no one was hurt.
That's the what remains of the car.
Yeah.
That's very scary.
Well, this time they got them. Most of the time, the wall's knocked down and they just drive off.
How many times has this happened?
I think I've rebuilt it 5 times.
In how long?
Probably about 5 or 6 years.
Overall, 1/3 of deaths on single and dual carriageways happen on junctions like this one.
So why have you got your van here?
To protect me whilst I'm working.
Are you that worried?
Oh, yeah. You wait till the lorry comes round.
It's really obvious what the problem is here. You know, it's a 30-mile-an-hour road that runs through little villages, going straight onto one of the most major A roads going in and out of London. And that's why you've got cars literally going through people's front doors. Nightmare.
The Department for Transport puts the cost to the economy of a road fatality at £1.7 million. A serious injury is valued at £190,000. So by the DFT's own reckoning, accidents on the A530 have cost the economy nearly £15 million over the last decade. Yet Eurowrap calculates it would cost less than £2.5 million to put many of the problems right.
If you put in a safety barrier or you put in a roundabout or a traffic signals or a revised junction, you save that amount, not this year, every year for the next 20 years, typically. So this is why infrastructure safety is so high return, because roundabouts, which I put in as a young engineer and was saving 5 or 6 deaths or serious injuries a year, are still doing that 30, 40 years later.
Which makes me wonder if the benefits of investing in safety on roads like this are so great, why on earth hasn't the local authority been spending money here?
Last year, the government made local authorities responsible for safety on their roads. Rod Menlove is from Cheshire East Council.
We drove it today with the European Road Assessment Programme, the chairman of the European Road Assessment Programme, who described the road as in crisis. He said any road that is killing this many people urgently needs attention.
It is obviously a dangerous road, but it all comes down in the end to the driver activity. They should be driving according to road and traffic conditions.
Some people would say that's a little bit complacent.
It's always a problem settling the priorities, OK? We don't have enough to spend on the roads, and that's not, I mean, all local authorities have got exactly the same problem. There's nowhere near enough coming from central government to spend on the roads.
Shouldn't you go to central government and say, listen, we need money to address this problem? You know, there are people dying here. You need to help us.
That's a very, very good point. In fact, earlier this month, our leader, Councillor Michael Jones, he wrote in and he said, we need money for the roads. The roads are getting worse and worse. We've had 3 bad winters. We've had loads of floods. We need more money.
And what did the government say?
We haven't got an answer yet. But I think we were pitching in for something like 40 million as a realistic figure. So, we wait to see.
So have the government handed over responsibility to Cheshire East, but not given them enough money? I've set up a meeting with Stephen Hammond, the Minister responsible for road safety.
Well, we've spoken to local authorities, and they say they don't have enough money. I mean, Cheshire, for example, says it needs £40 million more.
Everybody's going to demand extra money. What I'm asking them to think about is, one, how they prioritise their spending. Secondly, to ensure that road safety is at the top of it. And 3, to think about the huge amounts of money that central government is providing to them.
Hold on, less money every year, though. The amount of money you're spending on local authorities is reducing, isn't it?
Well, again, Every local authority will have to decide on its priorities, but it would be a pretty odd local authority that didn't decide that road safety, one of its top priorities when it was looking at its responsibilities about highways.
It seems we can't expect any major improvements on Britain's 6th most dangerous road anytime soon. So do be careful if you drive along it.
But it's not just reducing speed limits and spending on the roads that will reduce the number of casualties. Since road deaths reached their all-time high of nearly 8,000 in 1965, there's been a steady decline in deaths on Britain's roads, and much of that is down to improvements in car technology. There are crumple zones which are designed to absorb the energy in a crash and prevent it from passing into your body. Space between the bonnet and the engine means that fewer pedestrians die from head injuries. Airbags and seatbelts keep you in position and protect you from hitting the hard surfaces in the car that used to kill thousands of people a year in Britain.
Good morning. Well, since midnight last night, if you drive and you don't wear one of these, you're breaking the law and you can be fined up to £50.
It's been estimated that seatbelts have saved more than 60,000 lives since they became compulsory in 1983. A third of people killed last year weren't wearing seatbelts.
But there's only so far you can go designing a car to be safe in an accident. That's why the focus these days is about avoiding accidents in the first place. We're back at the test track.
These new technologies really are going to be a revolution in crash safety. These are going to prevent crashes like nothing else before.
And this isn't expensive technology. £200 is the cost of this automatic braking system, which could stop you running into the vehicle in front.
That was so weird. I just put my foot down on the accelerator and the car came to a stop of its own accord.
80% of crashes, all crashes, occur like this, below about 20 miles an hour.
80%?
And this particular crash is 1 in 4 of all crashes. One car drives into the back of another.
Pedestrian recognition can tell if you're about to hit a person.
There we go. That's amazing.
You just stopped. That's another child fatality saved.
I'm going to be testing a system that's been heralded as the biggest lifesaver since the seatbelt. It's called Electronic Stability Control, or ESC. My Mini's not equipped with it.
ESC works by stabilising the car. So when you go into a rapid lane change manoeuvre, often the car will want to skid. So the car automatically monitors where you want to drive and where it's actually driving and brakes individual wheels momentarily to stabilise the car.
We've set up a test scenario similar to this one caught on DriveCam. Checking out her lipstick in the wing mirror, the driver starts to drift into the hard shoulder, not noticing a stationary car. When she sees it, she steers abruptly and the car goes into a skid. Our test driver is going to take this car through a similar manoeuvre at 50 miles an hour.
I don't know whether to keep my eyes open or keep them closed. Keep them open.
This is a system that has fantastic life-saving capabilities. In one of the most common and life-threatening serious crash types, which is a single vehicle crash.
This system has been so successful that as of 2014, it will be mandatory on all new models of cars, so you'll definitely be hearing more about it. Let's hope you never need it. Since we started filming, I've had a black box hidden in my car. These boxes are being used by the insurance industry to keep an eye on the driver. It tracks acceleration, speed and cornering and scores the driver's performance. Unsurprisingly, the skid test in the Mini has produced a spectacularly low score.
5.26%, that's appalling. So it's telling me the temperature, the weather conditions, the time of day and what I was doing. So I was braking quite hard. I was accelerating, I
think that's what that's telling me. And turning left, yes, because we were doing really sharp left turns. So if a teenager was doing donuts or messing around in their car, then this would pick it up, give them a low score, and that would affect their insurance premium quite seriously. In Italy, where this technology is in around 800,000 cars, the statistics suggest that accidents have been reduced by around 16%. But I'm still not entirely comfortable about being tracked and monitored all the time. There's already a civil liberties debate about these black boxes, and they're not the first box to divide opinion.
Of all the efforts that have been brought in to make us better and safer drivers, the most controversial and probably the most hated is the speed camera.
I think sometimes they are just used to make money.
And in that would help reduce casualties.
When you see a speed camera, you slow down, and then when you go past it, you speed up again.
When you see a speed camera sign even, you slow down. So I think they must significantly reduce casualties.
People see them and immediately brake, and then there's more problems.
And so a lot of the time I think they're a waste of time, to be honest.
I actually think there should be more of them. I'm on my way to the site of the very first one.
Stephen Quashie took his place in the history books today by becoming the first British motorist to be convicted solely on the evidence of an automatic speed camera.
Ex-police officer Roger Reynolds was the man responsible for erecting the first speed camera in the UK.
Have you got any concerns about speed cameras? This is the gentleman who introduced them to Great Britain. But you thought it was a good idea, didn't you, when you brought them in? There's no doubt it was a sound idea, still is a sound idea. They work, they reduce speed. If you reduce speed, you improve road safety. There's no argument about that. This road particularly is very renowned for serious accidents, high speed. When we started here, in 22 days, we recorded 23,000 people doing more than 65 miles an hour down this road. So that's 1,000 people a day going over 65. 65 and a 40. 65. We're not talking about marginal speeding, we're talking about serious problems here.
How much difference did the camera make?
In the first 3 years, there was a 66% reduction in fatal accidents in this area.
Down 2/3?
Yeah, 16 people alive today, we would argue, because of these, and the 355, the number of reduction of serious injury accidents.
So if speed cameras are so effective, why do people hate them so much? Professor Frank McKenna, one of Britain's most eminent traffic psychologists, has spent his career trying to understand why people speed.
The road safety brain of Britain.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Well, come in.
I want to ask him why so many people see speed cameras as the local authorities' way of making a fast buck.
And that's dangerous. If people don't believe in the motivations of authorities, then it's a challenge. If we can show that these are crash sites that are dangerous, then people will buy in.
Do speed cameras work? Do they really work, Frank?
If you look in urban areas, then in the past, the majority of people were breaking the 30 mile per hour limit. Nowadays, the majority of people keep the 30 mile per hour limit. So people's habitual speeds have gradually come down over the years.
Britain has over 88,000 miles of urban roads, where 70% of all accidents happen. Urban areas have their own set of dangers. Cars negotiate junctions bumper to bumper, and pedestrians and cyclists vie with cars and buses for position on crowded streets. Pedestrians account for a quarter of all road deaths, and the number killed increased 12% last year. We might have relatively safe roads for car drivers, but for pedestrians, we're one of the least safe in Europe. And the growing number of urban cyclists are another group at risk on our streets. The problems of protecting them has long troubled our urban planners. But now a new concept in road safety is transforming Britain's streets. I'm taking another lesson with Chris Gilbert, and we're going down London's Exhibition Road, where signs and road markings have been removed.
No, this is very interesting.
This is interesting, yeah. There's a series of poles in the middle.
Yes.
But there are no road markings, and there appears to be no curb. The pavement just begins. And there's people walking around in front of me. There's a man there. So now I'm quite anxious. There seems to be a roundabout, but you can't really tell.
Yes, indeed.
I'm sort of stopping. There is a... Oh, and somebody's beeping behind me.
This does feel very strange. It feels as though we're driving on the wrong side of the road.
It does. I mean, this feels like it should be the carriageway, but it's not.
The concept is called Naked Streets. It started in Holland more than 15 years ago. There are now schemes in towns all over England. Coventry like it so much, they'll be pulling out their last traffic light in the city centre next year. I've been invited to an unusual venue by urban designer Ben Hamilton Bailey.
So why on earth did you want me to come out here apart from wanting to see me humiliated? Hold on. Whoa.
No, it's an interesting analogy. It's fascinating to observe places like ice rinks when it's really busy. People are making constant split-second decisions about
which way to go,
how to respond to people. The less rules that there are, the more we rely on our intuitive skills as humans.
How do you stop those?
Speed cameras, telematics, managed motorways, it's all about taking control away from humans. So I'm intrigued to see an idea that gives us back our independence. Ben's company has designed the Coventry scheme for the council.
The drivers
I'm not doing that. You want me to walk backwards?
Yeah, come with me. It's fine.
Not backwards.
It's fine.
No, that doesn't feel right.
It doesn't feel right, but this can cope with it. Speeds are low, the drivers are anticipating and observing their surroundings in a way, of course, that we saw on the ice rink, that people are, in full alert, you're aware of what's around you.
We've got some really big buses around us. I'm getting
right. Okay.
No. Let's see how we can. Let's front it out.
It's weird to stand in the middle of a busy road, and I'm not the only one that feels that way.
It's the most confusing junction here because it's like you're like, is that a zebra crossing? Is that a zebra crossing?
Because I think it's really dangerous. Very unsafe, in my opinion. You don't know where's coming and going.
But the sense of danger these pedestrians feel is the whole point, because it makes them more alert.
When it first came in, I thought it was quite dangerous. But now I've got used to it. I quite like it without the traffic lights.
Yes, people look in different ways before they cross the road, even though there's no traffic lights there.
It actually looks quite neat. It would certainly slow me down.
But the absence of traffic lights is causing concern amongst disability groups.
What would you have said if they'd asked you?
Well, no. Straight away.
Just no?
Yes.
You're that adamant these just don't work for blind people?
They do not work for blind people. Well, this is what we haven't got. Eye contact with the drivers. And with all the noise around us, it's so hard to know people will stop for you.
There's been a lot of controversy when accidents have happened, but the supporters of Naked Streets here in Coventry and around the country believe the statistics are on their side.
Statistics show that what we've done so far is safer. Before we introduced the scheme, there was one injury accident on average every 6 weeks. Since we've introduced the scheme, there's one injury accident on average every 6 months. We think this will produce a safer area here as well.
And a more pleasant area for pedestrians?
Much more pleasant, and a better area to look at as well, because all the areas that we've changed look much, much better without the clutter.
You make a very persuasive case, Lindsay. Good politician.
Although shared space may be letting us make our own decisions, the latest technical innovation to become mandatory in cars may bring in an era of unprecedented control. We're here to see eCall. It's a simple idea with massive repercussions.
Hiya.
Hi, Anita.
How
are you doing?
Using the same kind of technology as my telematics box, eCall dials the emergency services in the case of an accident.
It's key that we get the emergency services to the accident, the scene of the accident, quickly, and for them to know the details of the type of accident, where the vehicle's located. Seconds count after an accident in terms of lives saved.
Oh my God. Listen to this.
Thank you for calling.
So this is sending data now?
That's sending data.
So something's happened?
Yeah. The eCall device in the car has been triggered.
If you've been in an accident and you're severely injured, the car will call whoever it needs to call. It will tell them exactly where you are via GPS, how many people are in the car, and the severity of the accident as well.
And how much difference does that make if you get the alert out that quickly? So say Anita's on her own in the car, she's injured and can't phone. How much difference would it make to get the emergency services on the way in a couple of seconds?
Well, it's getting them on the way and it's giving them reliable information of location. That could make a difference of about 50% in emergency response times.
So how soon do you think it'll be that this will become commonplace?
By 2015, every new car sold in Europe must have an eCall device fitted.
But for now, the UK government won't commit to funding the administration of the system here. After looking at research, ministers aren't convinced that the benefits outweigh the costs for the UK.
As we come to the end of the first part of our journey, it seems that the debate around eCall reflects a turning point for road safety. If it's installed in every car, all our vehicles will be connected to the mobile phone network. Like the telematics we've been testing, some people fear it would be a way of slipping monitoring technology into our cars and that it could be used for other purposes apart from road safety.
But others point out that once all cars are connected, car-to-car communications are possible for the first time, a step that would be a quantum leap in safety technology.
We know what's just around the corner with technologies where one vehicle's talking to another. We are not going to believe in 20 years' time just where we've moved from.
With cars talking to each other, not only could your car tell the emergency services that you've crashed, but also the cars following, or that you've encountered black ice, or tell the car around the bend that you've stopped in the road. Imagine if the cars on the M5 could have let the others know they'd encountered bad visibility.
So we've got difficult choices ahead between our civil liberties and our safety. If we put safety first, what could that mean?
What's the ambition for all of this? Bringing together all these technologies, the improvements in car design, improvements in roads.
I think as a hope or as a vision, we could envisage 0 fatalities.
If that's a realistic expectation, the economic benefit could be significant. The Department for Transport estimates that the cost to the economy of crashes last year was £15.6 billion.
For 100 years, we've kind of bureaucratised death and serious injury. If it's on the roads, well, it just happens, and we have a budget for the fire, ambulance and police to deal with it. What we need to do is say, how can we stop this? And it is about systematic attention to detail, to the vehicles, to the roads, and to the driver behaviour.
Many experts are anxious that this first increase in casualties for many years is evidence that the focus on safety is weakening and that deaths and serious injuries could continue to rise.
We all have to decide whether nearly 2,000 people dying on our roads in 1 year is acceptable.
To have known as many people as I do that have died or been involved in a car accident is, I just think, you know, it shouldn't happen.
If you ask any individual what value they put on the life of their son, mother, brother, father, you know, it would be, there wouldn't be a number, there wouldn't be a figure.
90% of accidents involve human error. So next week, we'll be looking at us, the drivers.
What are these catastrophic errors we're making?
He's watching documentaries on his laptop.
We'll test how dangerous we are.
I am actually very tired right now.
And try and find out why men and women crash in different ways.
I'm confused. Yeah, I think I can park better than him.
Who's safer, adolescents or octogenarians? And what can be done to help us?
Steering wheel is here, and my hands are here.